Just a few minutes early, but that's okay. And I am snacking. I know that's a no-no, but I'm a snack. Hello, Anthony. How has your Saturday been, bud? Oh, do you have any? No, I just started it. They're getting. So have you got any bacon? Pick you. For what? Would you honestly be able to kill a pig? Would you be able to, would you have the guts to kill it, cure it, fry it, and all that? Oh, gee. That'd have to be a pretty good lawnmower. I guess that'd get the job done, though. And you really do want some bacon, don't you? Hi, Nikki. Got that off Karate Kid, did you? I'm doing pretty good. It's been smothering hot here. None. Why, you want some beef too? Don't have any beef for you either. Um, well, I would share these, but they're about gone. A beef with bacon. There you go. You'd have both the best worlds. Mmm, they're called pretzel crisps. And this is buffalo ring. They're supposed to be spicy, but they're not all that. They're not too awful spicy. Hi, Savannah. That sounds pretty good right now, Anthony. So what did you think of Levi coming back, Nikki? That's pretty cool, huh? I'm doing pretty good. You're pale all over, bud. You can see it in your face. You're a pale kid. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I tell you what, though, like that was so awesome. Well, didn't fix any today, but every time I fix it, it's pretty good. I'd be darned though if he turned around and changed his name sometime. I was, but you know, we had talked about Levi for so long, and then he just up and pops up. That completed the entire crew. It just, I couldn't help it. I don't know, but I'm glad he did. It's just the same with Julian coming back and Mitch coming back. I believe God has brought us all back together for something. I think He's got something in store for us to do, and I'm just waiting for it to come. Because, well, what is the chances of the entire creative crew coming back together? I know an Everest. He also goes by the nickname Elbow. But his name is Everest. I know an Everest. I know he's definitely using me. That's for sure. But I don't know. You guys are so good at what you do, having ideas and stuff. You guys are awesome at that. And in a lot of ways, I think yins are going to be my partners in doing this. Every one of yins are talented with ideas. No, no, he's not tall. I'd say he probably stands about 5'10", 5'12", something like that. He's not tall. Hey, Ian. But the really cool thing is, Nikki, not only is the original creative crew back, save Rogue Explorations, which I don't expect him to be back, and quite frankly, I don't want him back, but that's something else entirely. We're also getting wonderful people in that's becoming normal, and I just got a feeling God is really up to something huge. Hmm. Yeah, but you're still growing, buddy. Wow, you am. Just keep your chin up, buddy. We've got you. We've got you. Keep your chin up. Yes, it is. And everybody is so wonderful. They're all sweet, every one of them. They're trolling him because he's supporting us, Nikki. The ones who are attacking Dylan and Joy, they're attacking him because he's supporting us. Yeah, it is. Start reporting them, Ian. Literally report them. Just start reporting them so that whoever this one person is or whoever all they are will be blocked and never be allowed on YouTube again. Keep reporting them for everyone. Because for one, where you're a minor, they're harassing a minor, and that's a felony. You keep reporting them. Just start reporting them. No, sure doesn't. None of us do, adult or young people alike. We don't. And they are really getting ignorant with what they say. So you report them, buddy. Report them under hate and harassment and sexual explicitness. Whichever it falls under at the time, you put it under. So the one that was about you dating Dylan, you go on ahead and put that under sexual harassment. The other one about you kicking Joy out and stuff, put that under hate and harassment. Now that's all thoughtful, Anthony, but we don't want to bow down to their level. But we do want to report them and get them out of YouTube, period. Yeah, you just start reporting them, every one of them. Every one of them, buddy. You report all of them. If we all start reporting these trolls that's coming after Dylan and Joy, we might actually get rid of them. Absolutely. Yeah, Anthony, I'm going to keep nodding my head, kid, and you're going to get used to it. I know if we keep reporting them, eventually they're die down. Hmm. Hmm. Well, if there's somebody who's trying to have a channel themselves and they're being that ignorant, they don't need to be on YouTube anyway. Well, Savannah, there's a good chance that I won't have any weight loss tomorrow, but if there is, I'll definitely be giving God praise. Today's kind of been a snacky day. I didn't have a very fulfilling meal. It was delicious, and it would have been fulfilling if I'd ate all of it, but didn't have everything I like in it. I don't know. Maybe it won't be bad tomorrow. I'll find out. Finish cleaning up my mess here. I do. Hmm. I kind of take that as a compliment, Anthony. Thanks, buddy. And Samuel something, huh? Hmm. Yeah, you just start reporting them, pal. Whatever statement they're making, you report it under. And there's a whole list of different things that you can report it under. I hope that's a misspelling, Anthony, and not actually being nasty. I'll have to time you out for that, buddy, if that's not a misspelling. Good for you, Ian. That's what we need to do. Kind of waiting for the rest of the crew so I can get down to the story. There is no way. I could never do the keto, ever. My body actually needs carbs, and so having a low carb diet like the keto, I don't trust the keto. I really don't. I do not trust the keto because where you have to have more fat than anything else, I know for a fact my body wouldn't respond to that very well at all. So I'm not doing the keto. Anybody else who chooses to do it, that's up to their own, but I just wouldn't be able to. I may end up having, no, it isn't. I may end up having to delete the live stream from last night. I thought I had that fixed because, you know, like it was a playlist from YouTube, you know, so like it plays on YouTube. And I ended up getting 9 copyright notices for playing that YouTube playlist. So I'm having to go back through the video and delete those songs. And I've only got one song on deletion, and it's still processing that. And I've got 8 more to go. I'm going to be deleting those 9 songs the entire week. Because right now, I mean, yeah, I'm not monetized, you know, I don't qualify for monetization. But if I keep those songs on there, that particular one will never be monetized. And that was a good one. So it's either delete it or just get rid of the songs that was copyrighted. I'm going to try to be patient about it and just keep working on it until I've got it all removed. That is awful, though. I mean, you know, I thought I was in the clear because I played a playlist that's on YouTube. Uh, anyway, Levi changed his username. So while I was on Dylan's chat, I see this particular person, and I'm thinking, well, he's being honest, but his username doesn't look very honest. And then I'm looking back over the chat from last night because I'm trying to find him. He actually did pop in at the later part of the chat. I was trying to find him so that I could leave a link for his latest video, and I couldn't find him anywhere. But anyway, I see the same person that I had given the wrench to. I'm thinking, who is this? So I had to read once again what the comment was. I thought, that's Levi. He changed his name. I'd rather him keep using Michael Green's belly flab. But okay, whatever. That's up to you. Oh, it's trolling K something. K Gab or something other. I just know it's trolling K something. Why he doesn't just outright at least use Levi? I mean, he could just put Levi, period. You know, nothing. Just Levi. But he did finally post his face, so at least now I know what he looks like. And I'm glad that you changed your profile. Now I know what you look like, Nikki. And I know what Anthony looks like because I saw him on Instagram. And he's definitely not Ariana Grande. But yeah, if you choose to change your username, Anthony, that's fine. It's whatever you want. Basically, yeah. I mean, I caught some of your glasses, a little bit of your eyes and your nose. So I've got a basic idea of what you look like. Yeah, but it showed you kissing your husband, so you know this is a better picture of you. This is a clearer picture of you. Anthony, my goodness, buddy. People would think you're an adult. Seriously. There you are, Levi. Oh, that's Michael Green's face. Okay. And that's the one that you had is the username over. Okay. So since you're on here, why did you change your username? Yeah, but I thought you was going to change it to your own name. I knew that eventually you'd change it. I just didn't think that you would use some other username that. So now I've got to get used to this one. I didn't even Dylan. Yeah, that's okay, Anthony. All right, here. I gotta write that down. Get used to the username all over again. I was just getting the pretzel out from behind my teeth, Anthony. Kind of waiting on Mitchell and Julian so that I can get on with the mystery story. um, where's Dylan at, Savannah? I know that he won't want to miss this story. Oh, okay. Yeah, they probably would, Anthony. I can only imagine. So we're actually missing 3. Mitchell, Julian, and Dylan. I would like for everyone else to pop in too, like Joy and Terry. Be great to see Plain Vanilla Grandma again, and also it'd be great for Kentucky Girl to pop in. But basically, we're missing Dylan, Mitch, and Julian. I reckon some people deserve more or less to be trolled. At least the ones that troll themselves. You kind of go in there and take a poke back at them anonymously. Yeah, they can get pretty bad, that's for sure. You're one of those that just pops in and says something goofy or whatever and then gets brought back out, aren't you? You aren't one of those that comes in and literally bullies someone, are you? There's been people who pops in trolling and they say something that's a little odd and you scratch your head, but they don't say anything else. They're in and right back out. Sometimes you're a little bit of a troll. I don't like how that you speak sometimes, but other than that, you're okay, kid. Oh, okay. That's what I thought. I'll put it to you like this, Anthony. If you was a real problem in the chat, I wouldn't have given you the wrench. We would have done booted you out a long time ago, pal. I believe you real, Ian. I really do. I believe that very much, buddy. And you just keep on hanging tight, okay, pal? And we'll be with you every step of the way. There's one. Yes, you did, Amy. Good job. How you doing today, Julian? Waiting on a couple more, and then I'm going to get started on the story. So, see if you can find Levi. It'll be done and over with before you know it, Anthony, I promise. Can you spot Levi, Julian? I hope you to go to the prom and that you enjoy it. I really do. That would be an experience for you. I didn't get to go to prom. Well, if you want to do that, but yeah, which that's not really him anyway. That's not his face. It's prom, Prom. No, that is not his picture, Julian. Ian's going to be the disciplinarian here on the chat. He'll keep everybody in line. You two's going to behave tonight, or I'm going to put both of you out on timeout. You two be nice to each other. I'll put Julian and Nikki on timeout if they don't get along. We don't want no brother and sister fighting on the chat tonight. And I got crumbs all over me. You too, seriously. Brother and sister, I tell you. They remind me of a brother and sister. Like me and my brother. Honestly. Crumbs, boy, crumbs. From the pretzels. You know what Mom used to do to me if I ever talked like that? She literally soaped my mouth. I've got 3 people that I might be timing out for a little bit. Anthony for his fingers, and Nikki and Julian for their little fuss. Oh my gosh. Soaped. She would put soap in my mouth. A bar of soap or a drop of dishwashing liquid. Yeah, she backhanded me too. I don't know which was worse, the dishwashing soap or the backhand. Oh, come on, Mitch and Dylan. We have got to get on with this mystery story before everybody gets in cahoots. And maybe Mark needs a break from the computer now. Nikki needed hers yesterday. Maybe Mark needs his now. Everybody is entitled to not want on. It's their prerogative. I'm not forcing anybody in here. Everybody is welcome and nobody's kicked out or put down if they can't. Well, that just tells the difference between older generations and the newer ones. Yeah, that's the way it seems. It's always good when the both of you makes it, though. By the way, how's little Reagan today? My mom and dad more or less was older school. They believed in correcting the child when they spoke wrong or disobeyed or misbehaved. You raise that kid and keep him in line, Nikki. Don't ever let him become one of the generations that just don't have control. You and Mark keep raising him correctly. You won't go wrong. The word says to raise up a child in the way he should go, and when he gets old, it will not part from him. You raise that boy right. There you are, Betty. Yeah, that's his own priority, his own prerogative. So we're still waiting on Mitchell. Mitchell may come in. He didn't say one thing or another. He didn't even comment on any of my videos, so who knows where he's at or what he's into. If he makes it in, he makes it in. If not, then so be it. So we're going to go on ahead and get into the story. So like as we had said in the last story, there was the exploding of the house from the drug lab. And finally, the case was solved. They pretty well had found everybody who had been involved in the drug lab and who had been guilty of buying from that lab and everything. So that case was pretty well drawn to a close. And so Detective Debbie got a real nice vacation. And she was given a nice week off pay and everything. So everything was good for Detective Debbie. She got praise from the force for doing a good job, and Awesome. Oh, well, that's awesome. I noticed you're up to 320 now, brother. So that is cool. That is so cool. God's blessing your channel now, pal. You are growing, and it's awesome. 321. Oh, wow. Because when I went to leave your link, you was at 320. So, yeah, buddy. That's terrific. Seeing people grow, it's awesome. So anyway, with Detective Debbie getting her vacay and her getting the praise from the department for doing a good job on that particular case, because she actually helped find the majority of the people who had been involved in that lab. So she really, it boosted her career a whole lot. Yes, you are. I noticed that, Anthony. Before you know it, you're going to have 300 yourself. But anyway, so um, as far as it goes for nosy neighbor Nancy, she had felt so relieved that she didn't get hurt from the blast of the house, and that she was safe, and that she was able to actually do something right for once. Her nosiness while keeping the distance had really worked. So for herself, she decided that she was going to get away from the house, and it wasn't just to go get groceries. Awesome. Out in the clear. Good. No timeouts for you two. You kissed and made up. Anyway, um, so like Nancy decided that she was going to go to the carnival. Now, this was a regular carnival of the town. It wasn't one of those that just comes through periodically. This one, yes, exactly. This particular carnival was just a regular of the town. And so Nancy decided, you just had to do that, didn't you, Julian? Yeah, I love you guys so much. Anyway, Nancy went to the carnival to kind of reward herself while at the same time just completely keeping out of trouble and just enjoy herself for once instead of just sitting around on the porch and watching people have everyday life. And so when she went to the carnival, there was one particular attraction that she really enjoyed. And it was a walk through haunted house. It wasn't one of those that had a cart ride, but you walked through it. And so she went through, and everything was basically the same, just the way she enjoyed it. Isn't it a good thing that it's not loud, Ian? Anyway, the walkthrough was usual, the same models and electronics and all that. And so she was enjoying the walkthrough. And then up ahead, there was like a scream, and the people who was in front of her kind of stepped back and knocked her down. And when she got back up, she noticed that the woman who screamed up ahead the woman who screamed was like a couple people up. And she was leaning back against the wall, of the haunted house. So Nancy quickly shoved by the other two people to see if she was okay, and she was bleeding. And so she put her arms around the woman and helped her out of the building, and yelled for the attendant, saying that she got hurt somehow in there. And so in time, uh, questions was asked of this lady, and Nancy was listening in and being her nosy self as always. And she was listening into this. And the woman said that as she got to this particular animatron, that suddenly, which it wasn't unusual, it would it had an axe that would drop halfway, but not far enough to ever hit anybody, like how they all do. But this one completely dropped all the way down and hit her. Well, to Nancy, that was odd because those animatrons are set up specifically to just do a certain thing and stop there. And so she knew this particular animatron because she had been through that haunted house several times in the past, and it was the same one. It was similar to a Grim Reaper, only instead of having the scythe, it had an axe. And so she decided to go back through the haunted house to that particular animatron. I'll back up a little bit. Nosy Neighbor Nancy is a character that I've been working with on these mystery stories. She used to like be extremely nosy with neighbors, and she would always like assume something was going on, and it would always be a false alarm. So in time, she was taught a lesson by a certain detective and a forensic doctor that worked in the same department that the detective did. And so now Nosy Neighbor Nancy was going to, you're welcome. Nancy, after finally learning her lesson, was a much better citizen of her neighborhood. Now, she had just experienced a kind of seeing something going on in the house that had been used undercover to give her a lesson. And it happened to have been a drug lab, and it blew the house up. But because she had seen suspicious activity and had reported it to the detective that had originally taught her the lesson, everything was solved. So now Nosy Nancy is at a carnival, a place that she always enjoyed going to. And currently, she had just gone through a haunted house. It was a walkthrough. It wasn't one of those that you would ride a car, but it was a walkthrough. And a particular animatron went haywire and ended up dropping its weapon all the way and hurting a patron of the park. And so we're up to date here where Nancy decides to go back through that haunted house to this particular animatron and see what she could see. So she gets up to this animatron and she's looking at it. The axe is still down. It didn't go back up. It was still down where it dropped when it hit that other patron. So she's kind of looking around it, and she kind of noticed that she really didn't know what she was looking for, but it kind of looked odd on the back, like maybe something had been tampered with or something, because she knew for a fact that this particular animatron would stop in midair before it would come all the way down and ever hurt somebody. And she didn't know what necessarily controlled it, but for some reason the costume on that animatron was out of place. It didn't look right. So she hurries up back out of the haunted house, and the woman is shook up pretty bad. And by the looks of it, even though it was a dull axe, I mean, by no means was it even sharpened, it looked like it had done incredible damage to this poor woman. It had literally gotten her arm, and it wasn't just a simple bruise. She was bleeding bad. So they had called the ambulance, and the paramedics was on the way. And by the time they got there, they have the woman onto the back of the truck, and the paramedics is checking her arm out. Yeah, really. I would too. So, and Nancy being her nosy self once again, because the curiosity is really starting to eat this woman up. Now, mind you, like she had been doing so good, just letting things float off her back, not paying too much mind. But now this is something that's really getting her curiosity raised. So she kind of goes over there and she peeks around the door of that ambulance and she's looking at that arm. This was no dull axe. That woman's arm was almost completely severed off. She thought, this isn't right. This is not right at all. So she thought about it for a moment. And she asked the attendants if they was going to call the police. Oh, why should we? Oh, well, because I tell you right now, the animatron that hurt this woman isn't right. You need to call the police about this. I think something's going on in there. Madam, it's just a malfunction. We will close down the haunted house and we will work on the animatron and get it working right again. Oh, well, I hope so, but seriously, I think it's something that the police needs to get involved with. Well, thank you, ma'am, for your concern. Yeah, sure. So she goes off and she keeps thinking, the more she's thinking about it, because she also knew that those animatrons were set up so that if they would malfunction and hit somebody, that it would cause a reflection so that they would go back into its proper position. Similar to like in an elevator, that if there's a malfunction in the wires, then the automatic brakes come out, or like the doors on an elevator. If there's a block, then the doors open right back up. And that's how the animatrons were set up, so that if there was a malfunction, they would automatically go back into right position if they would happen to be bumped. Because, like they knew that kids would walk through and bump into those animatrons and stuff. So they had to be set up to keep the patrons safe. So she's really thinking deep about this. And she thought, I wonder if I can get Detective Debbie in on this. So she hurries up to a phone and she gives Debbie a call. Hello? Detective, this is Nancy. Oh, hi, Nancy. How you doing? Not too good, I have to say. I'm here at the carnival and something happened. Oh, what is it? Oh, well, I was going through the walk-through haunted house, and this woman, there was a couple people up above me, ended up getting hurt by one of the animatrons. Okay, so what happened? Well, it was the Reaper man that's got the axe, and the axe fell and almost severed this woman's arm off. Well, did they call the paramedics? Yes, and they tended to the woman, taking her off to the hospital and whatnot. Oh, well, it's just a malfunction. Well, that's just it, Detective. It doesn't seem like it's a mere malfunction. I think somebody set it up to malfunction. And nobody's going to check it out. They're not calling the police or anything, but something really seems strange. Well, what do you want me to do about it, Nancy? Would you come here and just kind of look at it? Well, okay, I'll be there in a little while. Thank you. So Nancy goes on about her way, going through the carnival, continuing to think about the haunted house, but trying to keep her mind off something else while waiting for Detective Debbie. And she looks back over at the haunted house and people still piling through there. And she thought, now that's odd. They said that they was going to shut it down and check on that animatron, but yet people still walking through. What is up with that? So she just sits down in front of the haunted house. She can't enjoy the rest of the carnival no more. She's too worked up over that darn incident. Finally, about 20 minutes later, Detective Debbie comes. And Nancy raves her over and she gets on over there. Okay, now, just what is going on, Nancy? Oh, well, they said that they was going to shut this place down and check on that animatron, but people still piling in through there. That just don't seem right, does it? Well, no, not really. I mean, if there's a malfunctioning animatron, you'd think that they'd close it down at least to remove it or something. But they haven't done nothing. Not a thing. Okay. Would you go in here with me and I'll show you the animatron I'm talking about? Okay. So they go on into the haunted house, and of course, they have to rake through the piles of people that's walking through. But it was rather slow, and they was kind of starting to pile up. Detective, what do you think this is up? I mean, these people aren't going all the way through. Something's strange. Okay, let me see if I can get through this crowd. You just kind of hang behind me, Nancy. Okay. So Debbie just kind of starts milling through, excusing everybody, getting through the crowd and stuff. And some of them, of course, start saying, hey, get back behind me, you know. But she just says, I'm detective, let me through. And, you know, so finally she gets up to the point where the crowd was too thick to get through. And she looks back at Nancy, and Nancy says, the animatron is just above that crowd right there. Okay. And so Detective Debbie goes on ahead and calls out to the crowd and tells them to move aside, that she's a detective and she's going to check on this animatron. So finally, they kind of just move out of the way, and Debbie gets through. Nancy follows close behind. There it is, right there. But what was causing the people to not be able to get through was the fact that this animatron was a little bit too far in the way. Somehow, like it had been moved, and its axe was still extended, so nobody could actually get by it. So Debbie finally says, okay, I'm going to go find an attendant and get them in here now. You stay right here. No, it's not possessed. Definitely not possessed. So Nancy stays there by the animatron while Debbie goes look for an attendant. Finally, she comes back with one. And the attendant really seemed disturbed. And she said, would you know anything about why this animatron malfunctioned, or why it's even out in the middle of the walkway? No, I wouldn't know anything about that. It shouldn't even be right here. Its position is over there. Sir, can you move the animatron so that these people can get through? It's not that easy. Why is that, sir? These animatrons weigh a good 200 pounds each. Okay, sir, if you don't mind, go get an assistant so that you can move this. Well, all right, I'll be back in a moment. She looks back at Nancy, and Nancy's got a weird expression on her face. What is it, Nancy? These animatrons, being that heavy, shouldn't have been able to get out into the middle of the way like this. Something odd is going on. Well, I definitely agree there. But who would even mess around with this? You don't think maybe they had started to check on it and walked out, do you? That could be, but why didn't they put a sign up on the building saying that it was temporarily closed? Now that is something I want to know. Exactly. So finally, the attendant comes back with an assistant, and they lift the animatron and put it back into its position, and they go on ahead and move the arm so that the axe is down by the side and completely out of the way. They made sure that it was disconnected from any power so that there wouldn't be any more action out of it, and they proceeded to help the people get on through the haunted house. And so Detective Debbie got thinking about it, and she said, if you guys don't mind, would you care to go on ahead and close down the haunted house and let me kind of do a little bit of an investigation in here? Have you got a warrant? Well, no, I don't, but this is kind of serious. Did somebody just about lose an arm in here? Well, how would you know about that? Just somebody who was a witness. Well, let me go ask the boss what he says. So the attendant goes ask the supervisor of the carnival. And he comes back and says, yeah, we're going to go on ahead and close it down. And he gives you permission to kind of do what it is that you have to. Thank you. So they close the haunted house down, and she gets looking around in the area that animatron is in. And she noticed that on the backside, where all of the animatron's back is pointed to, is hardly any more than like just a curtain like, so that it was easy to come up behind them and do whatever was necessary to get them operating. So she kind of steps around the animatron and feels behind the curtain and feels that it's empty. So she opens up the curtain and walks behind it. Well, you mean the light? Oh yeah, I don't have the lamp on, do I? And it's starting to get dark out. Hold on just a minute, guys. Thank you for pointing that out, Anthony. I appreciate it, buddy. So anyway, she goes on behind the curtain, and she noticed that like it is a big room that's got like parts and whatnots that goes to all the animatrons, arms, axes, knives, whatnot, lights, all that. But there was also somewhat of a tunnel. I don't want you up here. Lay down, be good. There was somewhat of a hallway, so to speak, that went deeper into the haunted house. So after thoroughly looking into the maintenance room, she goes on back into that hallway. And there's several doors, and each door reads the name of the animatron. So she finds the one particular door that reads the animatron that had malfunctioned. She checks the knob, it's open. So she walks in. And sure enough, there's the costume that goes on it, an extra axe, extra arms, extra wiring, lightings that would go behind the eyes, everything that would be necessary for this one particular animatron. And she gets looking a little deeper, and she finds that there's a table. And she starts to look underneath that table. What do you think she found? Exactly. No, Julian's got it, a person. So as she sees this person underneath that table, she gently reaches and touches this person. This person's unconscious. Good guess. This person was unconscious. And she was wondering about that. And she didn't think that this person was just taking a nap. There was something odd about it. She, as carefully as possible, looks on the person and finds that there's a knot on the back of the head. And she says, okay, this I definitely have to call the police in for. So she goes on ahead and calls the department and gets hold of Chief and tells him what's up. And so he sends a couple of uniformed officers to go assist Detective Debbie in what's going on. And while she's waiting for the officers, she goes back to the animatron. And she takes a closer look of that axe. And she's thinking about it. She goes, wait a minute, this doesn't look like the axes that was in that room. So she goes back to that particular animatron's room and she looks at the weapons again, at the axes. Every one of them had the carnival's name carved on the inside, and they were all dull. Not to mention, they were just simple, something similar to the Nerf material. I know what you're saying there, Anthony. So anyway, as she's studying the axes in there, every one of them were safely made so that if they did malfunction, there wouldn't be any injury. Maybe a little bit of a bruising, but nothing more than that. So she goes right back to that animatron and she looks closer at that axe. First off, it was real metal. That definitely wasn't right. Second off, there wasn't no original carnival name on the inside of it. But there was a message on the handle that read property of that particular carnival, which wasn't on the other axis that goes to the animatron. And then she felt the blade and it was sharp. She said, this isn't right. This axe had been switched out. So she patiently waits for the two officers to show up. And finally, the officers show up. And she said, I want to show you guys something. First, let me show you the person that's underneath the table here. So they go back into the animatron's specific room, and the person is gone. And they look at her. I'm serious, guys. The body was here. It was a gentleman that had a knot on the head. Okay, we'll take that into light. So what else? Okay, look at these axes. These belong to that particular animatron. And as you can see, it's the styrofoam like Nerf material. So if there was a malfunction and hit somebody, it wouldn't hurt them. You see this? It also has the signature of the carnival name on the inside of the blade. Yeah, we see that. They're very, very safe indeed. Okay, now come with me and let me show you this. So they go back to the animatron. Look at this. Yeah, that is kind of odd, Detective. What are you trying to show us? That this is a real axe, gentlemen. Detective, have you been drinking before you got here? What are you talking about? This is just like the axes that was in that room. No, it isn't. I just got done looking at it before you got here. Look at it again, detective. So she looks at it again. Sure enough, a safe styrofoam Nerf-like material axe that wouldn't hurt anybody. She goes, now this is really getting odd. Guys, I appreciate you coming out. Would you mind staying with me and helping to dig in with this? Look, detective, we're not being paid to actually be a detective. Look, guys, Chief sent you out here to help me. That's a good one, Levi. That's a good one. Yeah, he did send us out, but you told him what was going on. And so far, we haven't seen anything that you said. Fine, gentlemen. Go on back to the department. Sit at your pretty little desk and stay bored while I keep getting the action. Go. I don't need you. Fine. So they go on out. So she's standing there and she's scratching her head, frustrated with their lack of help and the fact that the body is gone and so is the weapon. So she quickly goes back out of the haunted house and she looks for the original attendant that she had spoke to and finally found him. Sir, has there been things going on that you're aware of here at the carnival? Oh, what do you mean? Suspicious acts, strange people going in and out of the haunted house that doesn't look like just a patron and they don't belong there either. Ma'am, honestly, strange people come in and out all the time. True, sir, but I mean, does it ever seem like somebody's snooping around? Hmm. Well, now that you say that, earlier this morning I noticed that someone kind of was looking around like they were afraid of something. But, I didn't think anything else about it because, like a lot of people comes out looking like they'd just been frightened. Yes, of course. Sir, has there ever been any real blades used with any of the animatrons? No, every one of the animatrons uses a safety weapons so that if there ever is a malfunction, nobody gets hurt. That's what I thought. I found the maintenance room and then I found that particular animatron's room, and every one of the weapons had the Nerf type material. So, but sir, when I looked at the animatron itself, the axe that was in the animatron's hand was a real axe. What? Yeah. Sir, would you know anything about that? No, I don't. I sure don't. I need to report this to the supervisor, ma'am. But, sir, before you do, I just want to ask you this. Why didn't you check the animatron out yourself to see why it had malfunctioned? Double looked at everything on it? Um, I didn't think to. After somebody almost lost an arm? Well, sir, that's a little bit incompetent. You're right, ma'am. I'm sorry. Let me go report this to the supervisor. No, not quite. Good guess, though, Julian, but not quite. So finally, the supervisor actually comes out himself to the haunted house. Well, what is all this that you're talking about, ma'am? Detective. Detective Debbie. Okay, Detective Debbie, what is all this that you're talking about? Sir, the animatron had a real axe. It couldn't have. None of the animatrons have any real weapons. Sir, there was a real axe. Well, show it to me. Well, that's just it, sir. The axe is gone. Now, how in the world would you know that, ma'am? Sir, two officers came in with me. I went to show them the axe, and the axe was gone and was replaced with the proper axe that goes to the animatron. Oh, well, then you could have been mistaken. No, sir, I was not. I know the difference between a Nerf styrofoam and a real blade. Ma'am, I'm not calling you an idiot. Let's hope not. But something else, sir. What's that? Somebody was underneath the table in that particular animatron's room, and there was a knot on their head. They was passed out. What? Come with me, sir, and I'll show you everything that I saw. So they go back into the haunted house. She takes them to that particular room, shows the table that the person had been laying under. Well, ma'am, there's no one here now. Of course there isn't. The person definitely is gone. But my question is, who would it have been? Is there any other exits out of this haunted house besides out through the exhibit? Well, yeah, out this back way. Come on, I'll show you. So they go out the back side. And they notice that the door had been somewhat jimmied open. Now that's all. This is supposed to stay locked. This is for the attendants only. So that means somebody broke in here. Exactly. Only my attendants have the key. Nobody would ever have a reason to actually get in here and break the lock. Okay, sir. And now I want to know what's going on. Exactly. So she gets back onto the phone and she calls the chief up again. Sir, the gentleman that you sent me would not stay and help. They wouldn't. No, sir, they wouldn't. I need some competent men to help. Something is really starting to feel odd here. What do you mean, detective? Well, the supervisor is here with me, and we just found that the back entryway of this haunted house has been broken into. And the supervisor says that all of his attendants that works this particular attraction has the key. All right, I'll send a couple other men over, and I'll make sure that they are set to stay there. Thank you, sir. So about 30 minutes later, two other officers show up. What do you want me to do, detective? Gentlemen, did you bring the dusting kits? Well, yeah. Go on ahead and start dusting for any prints. On what? Well, for one, on the door jamb. For two, in the animatron's room. And see what you can find underneath that table. It's still a good guess, though. Serious. Anything else, detective? Yeah, dust for prints on the axe that is in that animatron's hand. And on all the axes that's in that animatron's room. And any axes that you see in that maintenance room. All right, that's a whole lot of dusting. Yeah, it is, but just get the job done. Something's got to be found out. So she continues to talk to the supervisor, and the supervisor leads her to his office. And they sit down and they talk about it. Sir, has there been any suspicious activity going on here at the carnival, specifically the haunted house? Well, this is the first case of something going on in the haunted house, but to be honest with you, there was something that happened last week. What was that? Oh, well, the roller coaster broke down, which isn't unusual, of course. But there was really something odd about the roller coaster that wasn't usual about it breaking down. And what is that, sir? Well, there was signs that somebody kind of had jammed the controls. And that isn't usual. No, it isn't. But honestly, I would have reported it. I just figured that there were some teens that was pulling a prank, and so we fixed the levers, got them working in good shape again, operating the way they needed to, and everything. And I didn't think anything else about it. Sir, is there anybody who has got angst against you or something, or against this carnival, or the owners of the carnival, or anything? Not that I'm aware of, no. You can't think of anything at all? No. Who owns the carnival, sir? Oh, hold on a moment, I'll get their names. So he gets into his file and he pulls out a sheet that's got the name, address, and phone number of the owners of the property and the carnival. Why? Because I need to ask them some questions as well. This is getting serious when somebody gets very seriously hurt. Well, I agree there. So I'll get right back with you. I'm going to go on ahead and talk to the owners of this carnival. There's that strategic thinking Dylan working. His mind's working overtime now. We're about to wind this up. Now, all this time that Detective Debbie has been asking questions and checking things out, Nancy was sitting on the side. Good old Nancy. Or once she sniffs something that's got curiosity upon her, she's not about to let it go until she finds out just what's going on, even if she's wrong. Well, as Debbie stepped out of the supervisor's office, she looks over and sees that Nancy's sitting there. That's a good guess, Ian. Thanks for stopping in, buddy. I'll kind of recap tomorrow. That way you kind of get the ending of it. Good night, pal. So anyway, Debbie walks on over to Nancy and says, Nancy, what are you still doing here? Oh, well, you know me. Oh, Ren, I think that something's going on. I just got to find out what it is. Well, yeah, I've definitely found that out about you. So what is it? Well, I've been sitting here watching everything that's been going on. You going back and forth talking to everybody underneath the moon and watching everybody else pile in and out of this old carnival and stuff. But something was really, really odd. And what's that? What particular person keeps lurking around all kinds of different attractions? So, so they're not writing anything. And they're not buying anything. They're not carrying anything. They're just lurking around. Really? Can you spot this person now? Well, I kind of saw them go around the backside there, around there. The tent over there? Yeah. Okay, do you think you can show me? Oh, well, let's see if they're still back there. So Nancy leads the way, and they go behind the tent that has the odd people, the main attraction of the carnival, like the glass jars with the twin heads and stuff like that. And Nancy looks around carefully, and there's no one back there. Now that is very strange, Detective. I'm sorry. But that's okay. I mean, they could have ran on out. That's true. That is true. Do you think it would hurt for us to go inside this tent without a ticket? Let me go ask the supervisor and see what he says. So she goes on back to the supervisor and kind of casually tells him that there seems to be somebody suspicious going around without actually talking about Nancy herself. Finally, the supervisor decides that he's going to completely shut down the carnival for the rest of the evening so that they could do a more thorough investigation. So he gets on the loudspeaker and tells everybody that they've got to leave. The carnival is temporarily closed for investigation because of the injury happening at the haunted house, and that if all goes well, the park will be opened back up by next morning. So eventually everybody leaves except, of course, the supervisor and the attendants. Nancy stays with Detective. And Debbie stays on. So that gives Detective Debbie the freedom to check out every attraction there. So immediately she goes right to the tent that has the odd things in there. It's something similar to like a Ripley's Believe It or Not. So she goes into the tent, and because the park had been fully shut down, they went on ahead and turned all the lights so that it was well lit up instead of shadowed like how they leave it for the patrons. And she's looking around very carefully, and she notices that there was something on the ground. She gets looking closer, and it happens to be a button. Now, somebody dropped a button here. Do you think it could be that person that I saw lurking around? Well, it's possible, Nancy, but anybody could have dropped a button. Yeah, that's true. That's true, yeah. So let's keep on looking around. So they continue looking. And then they notice that there was a little plaque that had belonged to something, but the something was gone. Now that is strange. Nancy, go get the supervisor for me, please. Okay. So Nancy goes and gets the supervisor, and he comes in. Sir, did you remove this particular item but left the plaque for it? Why, no. Anytime that we remove an attraction, we remove the plaque to it as well. Sir, this was just sitting here, but the object is not with it. Yeah, I can see that. Now, what in the world? So Debbie gets looking around the grounds a little bit closer, and over against the beam that helped hold the tent up on the side was broken glass. Sir, what do you make of this? Oh, well, that looks like the kind of container that would have had the object in it. Sir, just what was it that was in that container? Well, it was some kind of a deformed fetus. We never really did know what it was. Okay. So she gets looking even closer. Sir, okay, the glass is broken, but there is no evidence of anything that had belonged in that glass. No, not you, buddy. Well, I'll take the plaque and I'll take it back to the office because I don't want people looking for this and it's not there. Yeah, that's what I said. And so the supervisor took the plaque back to the office with him. And Nancy said, do you think maybe that did have that object in there? And Debbie said, it's quite possible, Nancy. But now this is really starting to get odd. If somebody tampered with the levers of the roller coaster to jam it so that maybe the cart would fly off the rail and hurt somebody, that's one thing. And then rigging up the animatron so that it had a real axe and greatly injured a person is another. But why would somebody steal an odd object attraction? That does not fit in with the sabotages. No, that doesn't. Have you gotten hold of the owners yet? No, but I'm definitely going to right now. So she goes on back outside and sits down on one of the benches and gives a call to the owners. The woman answers the phone. Yes. Hello, is this? And she mentions the name. Yes, it is. This is Detective Debbie. I'm over here at the carnival. Oh, yeah. Uh, I need to ask you a few questions. Well, certainly. Go on ahead. Well, I don't know if I can help you. Anyway, so Debbie asked the first question. Have you got any enemies or anybody who wants? Yeah. I mean, that's flattering and all, but sorry. But anyway, so Debbie asks, have you got any enemies or somebody who would want to see your carnival go under? Yeah, I got the picture. I got the picture. Uh, Not that I can think of right off the bat. What's your other questions, ma'am? Has anybody been doing anything to the carnival that you know of? Has anybody reported to you that there's been sabotage going on? No. Why? My third question is, do you trust everybody who works here at this carnival? um, well, yeah, but my husband handles all that. He hires and everybody. You trust the supervisor. As far as I know, yes. All the attendants? Yes, I reckon. How about the manager? Well, yeah. But what is this? Ma'am, somebody got gravely injured today in the haunted house. What? Nobody called and told you? No. What happened? The Grim Reaper with the axe in the haunted house malfunctioned, and the arm came down and just about severed a patron's arm. Well, that's impossible. We use safety weapons. We use makeshift toys. Yes, that's what I found out. But ma'am, I checked the axe and it was a real axe. No, that's impossible. Or you could be mistaken, ma'am. No, I'm afraid not. But when I looked again, somebody removed it and put one of the original axe back into its hand. And now I don't know what to think. And that's why I need to know if you trust everybody who works here. Well, like I said, my husband hires everyone. Would you and your husband be able to come down here right now? The supervisor has got the entire park closed off. So it's not operating right now. And I would very greatly like to see the both of you. Oh, well, hold on a moment. So she asks her husband, and Detective Debbie hears in the background. He says, sure. So she gets back on the phone and says, yeah, we'll be there in 15 minutes. Thank you, ma'am. So sure enough, in 15 minutes, the husband and wife shows up. Okay, so what is all this going on? Somebody got extremely hurt in the haunted house. How? There was a real axe in one of the animatrons, sir. No, that's impossible. We only used the Nerf type material. Yes, sir, I understand that, but this was a real axe. Once again, that's impossible. Sir, somebody had broken into the back door of the haunted house. No. Yes, sir. Do you know and trust everybody who's here? Well, I should. I hired all of them. But how much do you know any of them? Did you check their backgrounds or anything? Have you ever had any arguments with any of them? Well, there was one attendant that I had to fire a couple weeks ago. On what cause, sir? Well, he was kind of mistreating the patrons, for one, being rude to them, not helping them out or anything, instead just kind of shoving them around, forcing them through the attractions as they went through and everything, just really being rude. And so I had to let him go. Oh, did he ever explain himself to you as to why he treated them like that? No, not really. And I really didn't give him a chance either. Is it possible, sir, that maybe this attendant is trying to get revenge or something? I don't see that he would. But is it possible? What's his name? Have you still got his name and number? Yeah, hold on a moment. And he calls to his supervisor and tells him to pull up the file of that one attendant that they had released. And so within a couple minutes, the supervisor brought the paper over to Detective Debbie. And she looks over it and she takes note of the phone number. And she says, I'm going to get hold of this attendant in a moment. But first, if you kind folks wouldn't mind, come back here to the haunted house with me and I'll introduce you to my men. So they go back there and the officers are still busy dusting around. By this time, they're in the maintenance room and they're dusting everything in there, the axes and stuff. And gentlemen, did you take care of the animatron's room yet? Have you dusted the animatron's room yet? No, we haven't been in there yet. Okay. So she introduces both of the officers to the owners. And briefly, they explain what they've covered so far. And they show in their kit how many specimens, how many collections they've got so far. So come in here with me. I want to show you this. So they go into the animatron's room. And she says underneath this table was somebody lying with a knot on their head. They was unconscious. That doesn't sound right. Yeah, it doesn't. And the really odd thing is nobody has ever said anything about seeing anyone going anywhere on their head or kind of swaying around or anything. And I haven't seen anybody either. And then all of a sudden, Nancy gasped. Wait a minute now. I did. You did? Yeah, but I didn't think anything about it because I was wondering about that one person that was lurking around. Lurking around? There was somebody that was hanging around? Oh, why? Yeah. Ma'am, who are you? Oh, well, I'm a regular patron of the park, but I'm the one who kind of witnessed the woman who almost lost her arm, and I kind of hung back to be here with Detective. I hope you don't mind. Well, I guess it's okay. Nancy, what did you see? I saw someone walking along the way, almost toward the exit, but they didn't quite make it to the exit. Where did they make it to, Nancy? They went to the bathroom. Did they ever come back out? I don't know. You don't know? Well, like I said, I had my eyes on that one person that was just hanging around. Okay, never mind, Nancy. Calm down. I'm going to go look in the bathroom. They went into the men's bathroom? Yes. Okay. Sir, would you like to come with me? Certainly. So the owner of the carnival goes with Detective Debbie, and they go to the men's bathroom. And he goes in, and then he calls her in. What do you think was in that bathroom? No, no, not the fake axe. They're all putting on their thinking caps. They're typing. Exactly, Nicole. Exactly. So Detective Debbie finds the person slouched on the floor, and he's somewhat alert. Yes, he's somewhat alert, but he's holding his head and he's moaning. Sir, sir. And he looks up. And he can barely focus at her, but he does his best. Sir, can you tell me your name? And the owner says, I know who that is. Sir? And he gave the person's name. Sir, is that your name? I really, I don't remember my name. Sir, can you remember anything at all? I remember the haunted house. Um, okay, before you continue, who are you? I'm the attendant there. I kind of oversee everything. Okay, continue on. What happened? He's got temporary amnesia. He only remembers certain things. Well, I ran in to see what had gone on with that animatronic, and I saw somebody standing behind it, and I yelled out to him. So you had started to take care of the animatron? Yeah, I wanted to take care of it before the next bunch of people came rolling in. What happened next? Well, that person whirled around on me and hit me upside the head so hard, I don't remember anything else. You you don't remember anything else at all? I remember eventually when I'd opened my eyes, I felt myself underneath the table, and I got up and weakly made my way out. I was going to go talk to the supervisor, and I started feeling nauseous from being so weak and wobbly. So I came in here into the bathroom. I must have passed out again. Thank you, sir. Um, okay, we're going to get some assistance for you, okay? Sir, if you don't mind, come out here with me, please. Okay. Sir, hurry up. Call 911. I want the ambulance here to take care of this gentleman, and I need some more officers to continue patrolling this place. We got to get down to the bottom of this. Okay. I'm on it, detective. Thank you. So she goes right back into the bathroom and she stays with that gentleman until the paramedics show up. Eventually, they take him away to the hospital and she comes back out and she looks at Nancy, who apparently is quite shook up by this time because it's starting to hit her as to just what is seriously going on. And for the first time, just like it was with that house, what was going on that blew up, this is something that she's not just imagining, it's serious. Nancy, are you okay? I'm fine, but I'm really starting to get worried. About? Well, what if other people had gotten hurt? That's a good question, Nancy. Can you describe who had been kind of hanging around? Oh, well, he seemed a little tall, quite skinny, almost bony, and he kind of had rough hair. Rough hair? Yeah, like he never brushes it. Oh my goodness. Sir? That's the one that I let go a couple weeks ago. Seriously? Yeah, that's him. That is definitely him. He never brushed his hair. And he is skinny and tall. No, it's not Clovis. Clovis is still enjoying his freedom of a job. Okay, sir, we need to get hold of this guy. Yeah, we do. I've got a beef with him now. Well, the thing is, and my friend here, Nancy, had seen him hanging around, but we don't know where he is now. Hmm. Well, that kind of had Detective Debbie at a bend. Where was she going to begin to lurk? How was she going to find him? Did she dare call the phone number and catch him? Or was he still there at the grounds? So when the next bunch of policemen came in, she set all of them to start looking around the carnival grounds for them to see anybody who didn't belong to the attendants or to their own crew. So they started looking around. And Nancy stayed with Detective. Nancy, what is it now? I think I remember seeing him over there. Where? At the Ferris wheel. Ferris wheel? Yes, this was before he went around that tent. Really? Yeah. Had the Ferris wheel ran any at all after you saw him there? No, no, nobody had even gotten on to ride it. Okay. Can we go over here, sir, and see if anything had been messed with at the Ferris wheel? Certainly. So they go over and look, and the supervisor does a double check on the controls and stuff. No, everything seems to be fine. Sir, if you don't mind, give it one roll complete rotation. Okay. So he sets it in motion and allows it to run one complete rotation. But before it had completed, it started to spark. Oh man, this isn't good at all. And then next thing they knew, it was starting to catch fire. And then the axis that the Ferris wheel rotated on started to make a grinding sound. Stop it now. Stop the controls. So the supervisor started to hit the stop button, but it wouldn't stop. It started to speed up and grind even harder as it was spinning. Everybody get out of the way now, run. So everybody quickly got out of the way as it completely ran out of control. Is there a control box for this? Yeah, go kick it off. So he quickly goes to the maintenance room and he kicks off the switch. And in time, the Ferris wheel finally comes to a complete stop. So by this time, the owner of the place, he's upset, and the wife is starting to weep. Ma'am, are you okay? I love this place so much. And me and my husband has put so much money into this place. Why is somebody messing with it? I don't know, ma'am, but I really want to find this out. Is there anybody here that can do a deep check on this and see just what malfunctioned? Yeah, let me go get him. So the supervisor goes find one of his best men that knew every single attraction and ride on the carnival to come check out and see just what had been messed with. So while that attendant is busy checking out everything on it, the detective gets looking around even closer. Is there anything else, Nancy, that you had noticed? No, not right off. I didn't know. Okay, I need to get more people in on this. I want us to check all of the food carts, make sure nothing had been poisoned. Okay, so let me call the chief and get some more people over here. So the chief finally gives permission to send 5 more people over with some more test kits for poison and other things. And so eventually in time, the other 5 shows up and she says, I want you gentlemen to go to every food cart and check every item of food there is. I want you to check for anything that may have been laced with some kind of poison. So they got on it and they started checking all the food carts and the food courts. And Debbie gets looking around even more and she says, what about that funny ride right over there? Oh, that? Yeah, what is that? It's something like the Tilt-A-Whirl. Yeah, what does it do? Don't you know what a Tilt-A-Whirl is? Sir, I haven't been to a carnival since I was a wee little girl. Oh, sorry. Come with me, I'll show you. So they go over to the ride that's similar to the Tilt-A-Whirl. And she says, okay, I hate to ask you this, but give it one complete rotation, please. And so everybody carefully steps back and the supervisor gets it started. One complete rotation, everything worked fine. Well, that was a relief off the mind. Okay, next ride. We're going to check them all. All right. So ride after ride after ride. Complete rotation, complete move, whatever it needed, complete roll around. The supervisor allowed it to do a complete run. Everything else ran out just fine. Night, Levi. And so with everything else checking out except for the haunted house with the animatron and the Ferris wheel, Debbie felt relieved, but at the same time even more troubled. And then finally, one of the detectives that had been sent to check out the food courts and food carts came over with something that looked extremely odd. What is this? Detective, this right here is something that it was found over there. Where? At the cotton candy. What is this? Ma'am, this is glass. What? It's glass. It looks more like cotton candy. Detective, I hate to tell you this. Every bit of the cotton candy that's in those bins, it has been laced with a fiberglass type material. You're kidding me. No. Come with me, I'll show you. So they go over to the cotton candy cart. Sure enough, it wasn't cotton candy. It was fiberglass. It had been finally reeved in the barrels that the cotton candy would be reeved in, so that it looked exactly like cotton candy. How can we find out if anybody had bought any cotton candy? Well, there isn't any way of finding out. Oh no. I want you all to be ready to possibly be sued. What? There is a possibility that there's going to be some complaints that you all sold fiber fiberglass in the cotton candy. And if there are complaints, there will be suits. You all might be lined up for a good lawsuit. No, 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 that's not possible, Detective. I'm just telling you, be prepared. If anybody bought any cotton candy here, it is going to be laced with the fiberglass. I'm just telling you right now, be ready. Oh, no. And it was all that the owner could handle. She ran off, bawling, to her car. She didn't want anybody else seeing her cry. And the owner, the gentleman, he's looking down at the ground. I know how my wife is feeling. I love this place too. Sir, the attendant that you had to let go, would there have been any reason why whatsoever that he would have been acting angry with the patrons to begin with before you fired him? None that I know of. When and how did you meet him? You know something I never even thought about. Sit down with me and tell me about it. So they sat down on the bench. He said, well, about a month ago, I ran into this man, and he was kind of homeless on the street, or at least it seemed. And I figured that, I could do the right thing and give him a job. I mean, you see somebody who's needing something, you want to help them out. And that's what I done. I went on ahead and hired him thinking, okay, I've got some way that I can help this person. Okay, go on. Well, in conversation, he had mentioned about him knowing somebody who used to be my partner. Really? What was you into that you had a partner? Well, we had a business some years ago. What kind of business, sir? No, it was similar to a carnival, but not quite a carnival. It was another type of an amusement park, but not quite like this. What happened, sir? Well, me and him kind of just ran our separate ways. He had ideas for the amusement park, and I had my own ideas. And so, because we never quite came into the middle about it, we went our way. And eventually, we both agreed that we'd go on ahead and close out the amusement park, and we would split the money and do whatever. And that's when me and my wife decided to buy this property and do this carnival right here. How did the money situation go? Well, I thought it went okay. I mean, we split it 50-50. Did he have a problem with that? Well, come to think of it, he kind of blew up about it, saying that he needed more of the money because he had put the most work into the place. Hmm. Do you know of what come of that man? I haven't heard anything else about him. Hi, Chris. Sir, is it possible that maybe the guy that you had hired out of compassion might have been working for your ex-partner? Oh, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of odd that he had mentioned him. Yeah, that does seem a little suspicious. Well, what are you driving at, detective? It kind of seems to me like it's possible that maybe your ex-partner hired somebody to more or less set you up so that you would completely go under. Well, why would he do that? Well, you said that he got a little upset because you didn't give him more of the money. Me and him split it half and half. Hey, Kentucky girl. Yeah, that's true, but you said he wasn't happy. No, he wasn't. He really wasn't, seriously. So do you think that the man that you hired might have been working for him? How would we find out? Well, I'm going to have to dig a little deeper, I'm afraid. But like I'd said, you keep your you keep your attention up because it is very much possible that you're going to have some lawsuits on your hand over today. Yeah, it does seem like I might. Excuse me a moment, guys. I'm making sure to write this down. Okay, here we go. Now, how am I going to find out if he was working with him? Like I said, I'm going to have to do a little bit deeper digging. You better go check on your wife. She's pretty upset. All right. And so the owner goes back to his car to check on his wife. And she walks back over to the supervisor and she talks with him. What can you tell me about the one that the owner had to let go? He acted a little odd when he worked here. How so? Well, as boss had told you, like, he was kind of rude to the customers. Yeah, but what else? He kept talking about wanting to make sure that somebody was really happy. Did he mention names? No, he just kept saying that he wanted to make sure that somebody was happy, and I thought that he was talking about the patrons, which really seemed funny because of the way he was treating them. Yeah, that would seem odd, wouldn't it? Um, and that's all that I've got for now. Okay, if you need anything else, just give me a holler. I sure will. So she goes back over to the haunted house and she asks guys how they're doing. And we're finishing up. Okay, when you get the last of the fingerprints, I want you to be sure to take them back to the department and run a thorough check on every one of those prints and see if you can happen to find who they belong to. No problem. And then she goes on ahead and she talks with the other detectives that's looking around the place, make sure that nobody's hanging around, and the ones that's checking out the food courts and the food carts. Have you found anything else? No, everything else seems to be just fine. Okay. Is there any odd people hanging around? Well, not now. It just seems to be us. Okay. You can go on and head back to the department since it seems to be clear. Are you sure? Yeah, go on ahead back and tell Chief Rutten all that's been found so far. All right, Detective. See you later. Okay, thanks. And she goes over to Nancy. Nancy, aren't you tired? Oh, yeah, I'm tired. All right. Well, why don't you go on home? Because it just seems like there's something else more that I should be telling you. What do you mean? I can't quite put a finger on it. Can you at least describe it? No, not really. Well, why don't you go on back home and if it comes to you, give me a call. Are you sure? Yeah, really, I don't need you anymore tonight. You have been a great help though, Nancy. Oh, and Nancy? Yeah. Did you have any cotton candy? Why, no. Cotton candy gives me sugar highs. I don't like how it feels. Good for you. Go on home. But like I said, if you could think of anything else, give me a call. Well, I sure will. Okay, thank you, Nancy. So Nancy goes on ahead home. So that pretty well left the detective with the attendants and the supervisor and the owners. She sits down on the bench and she gets thinking for a little bit. She decides to go on ahead and give that person a call. So she rings up the phone number. And at first there's no answer, and then finally there's a gruff voice. Hello? Uh, yes, is this? And she gives the name. Yeah, this is him. This is kind of an odd question. Where was you within the last 4 hours or so? Why? Who are you? I'm Detective Debbie. Well, why you want to know where I've been? What business is it of yours? Because, sir, you might be charged with homicide. What? This is ludicrous. This is a prank call. And he hangs up. All right, Nikki. I love you. Give Reagan a kiss on the forehead. Well, that just kind of got Detective Debbie upset. Extremely upset. She's got even more suspicion than ever that it's very much possible that this person who they had released had been working for somebody else and had been there that night doing all the sabotaging. So she gives a call again. At first, she didn't think that the person would answer back, but finally they did. Oh, this is me again. Why are you bothering me? Sir, this is a very serious thing. Do you know? And she gave the name of the ex-partner of the owner. Why would I know him? Because it's been said that you had talked about him. Oh, I have no reason to even know this so-and-so. Really, sir? Would you like to talk to your former boss? What? Would you like to talk to your former boss? He's here. No. Yes, he is. And without the man even knowing on the other end of the phone, Debbie had been walking right toward the car of the owner of the carnival. Next thing the guy knows that's on the other end of the phone, he's talking to a man. Hello? Oh, where's the woman that was just on this phone? She handed me the phone. Is this you? Yep, this is me. What's all this about? What is this about, Detective? Oh, I just wanted you to kind of talk about it on the phone and find out what in the world's going on with him. Like like your ex-partner. Oh, gotcha, Detective. So he gets talking to the guy on the other end. Do you know my ex-partner? The detective asked me the same thing. How in the world would I know him? Because you mentioned him. Well, why would I ever mention somebody? That's what I want to know. What is going on? Have you been here working with my carnival tonight? No, why would I even come to that stupid place? You fired me. What more do I have to do with it? Because somebody saw you hanging around tonight and they described you to a T. That's impossible. I wasn't there. Say that to the person who saw you. I wasn't there, I'm telling you. Yeah, right. Okay. He hands the phone back to Detective Debbie. He doesn't want anything more to do with him. He's so angry. She gets the phone back. I'm going to be doing a little bit more checking on you, sir. Why? Because I got a feeling that you've been involved with the sabotage. You won't find anything on me. We'll see. She hangs up on him. What items did he always carry around with him? Dude, he had all kinds of things he'd carry around with him. Like? Well, there was something in particular that he really was fond of keeping, and I allowed him to go on ahead and keep it with him whenever he was working here. What was that? A very lucky coin, or a button, or something. What did it look like? And it's kind of hard to describe. It's kind of like a character, maybe some kind of a saint or something. Like this. Oh my goodness, that's it. This? Yes. Are you sure? Absolutely. He carried that with him all the time. Where'd you find that? It was in the tent that's got the odd ends. You're serious? Yes, I am. Come with me and I'll show you. So they go into the tent and she shows him exactly where that button was. She said, but I kind of considered maybe it was the suspect's button, but at the same time, I had decided that it's possible anybody could have dropped it. Yeah, that's true. Anybody could, but this is a very different piece. Yeah, I have to say it is rare. And then this over here, sir, see if you can tell me anything about this. I had asked the supervisor and he really couldn't say. That looks like one of our display drawers. It's busted. Exactly. Does anything look odd about the fluid that's spilt around it? Yeah, this is embalming fluid. Really? Yeah. Sir, do you recall what was in this display glass? Yeah, it was a deformed fetus. What kind of fetus was it, sir? Well, you remember the story about the pinhead years ago that used to be in the carnival? Yeah. Well, supposedly the deformed fetus was the great-great-grandchild of that one particular carny. You're serious? Yeah, well, that's the documents that we've got anyway. Okay, now this is seriously odd, but why would the glass be broken and the fetus be gone? That's a very strange question right there. Why would the glass be broken? I mean, if someone wanted to steal it, wouldn't they have took the entire glass? Exactly. What do you all think happened to that deformed fetus? Yep, it was definitely stolen. Sir, would you have an address of your ex-partner? Oh, actually, I do, believe it or not. Okay, sir. We're going to go pay him a visit. You're kidding me. At this time? Absolutely. While it's still fresh. Let's go. All right. So he gets the address and they go right to the ex-partner's house. Let's go up together. I want you to knock and introduce me. Okay. So he knocks on the door. At first, there's nothing. Then he knocks again. Finally, his ex-partner opens the door. What are you doing here? Oh, hello. Uh, since when do you bring me anybody? This is one beautiful woman. Excuse me. Well, this happens to be a detective if you want to get that dirty. Oh, pardon me, ma'am. Sorry. Well, what is this all about? Oh, something's been going on at this carnival. What? Are you trying to sabotage my carnival, buddy? Why would I sabotage your carnival? I've got my own thing going. Really, what have you got going? Hold on now. Calm down, calm down. I'll ask the questions. Sorry. And so the owner just kind of backs aside. And Debbie asks, so what is it that you do have going on? Oh, I've got some attractions going on my own. I've got a piece of land about a mile away. And I've been trying to open up a really neat place, you know. Would you mind showing me this place? At this hour? Hey, yeah, I've just got a fondness for attractions. You're kidding me. No, serious. I really do. Well, sure, okay. So they go on ahead to his little place, his itty bitty little property that's only got like 4 or 5 tents. He kind of excuses himself, embarrassed. I am just starting out. Oh, really? How long have you been at this? Oh, I just started it about 3 weeks ago. Really? She looks over at the owner of the carnival with an odd, knowing look, and he looks back at her with a knowing look. She says, okay, show me what you've got so far. This is interesting. So he said, well, all right, nothing much to see right now. So he takes her to the first tent. Sure enough, there wasn't very much in there. It was one of those kind of tents that you could go in and buy knickknacks, like homemade jewelries with beads and stuff. Nothing much. Then he takes her to the second tent. And yeah, there's some benches up front. And he explains that he's got a few showgirls and other kind of carny type people that comes in and kind of sits around and talks to the audience and stuff, answers questions and all that, and just kind of showing himself off. And then he takes her to the fourth tent. And in this one, there's snakes and animals and other few animals. Odd animals never been heard of before, and then other common animals. Then he takes her to the fifth tent. And nothing was really in there yet. He was just starting to build it up. She says, "Sir, what about the third tent here?" "Oh, well, what, there? Oh, it's empty. But, sir, you just showed me this one." "Night, Julian. You just showed me the fifth tent, and it's pretty well empty right now." "Yeah, but I want to see the third tent, sir." "Now." "Now?" "Now." "Oh, yes, ma'am." So he goes to the third tent, and the owner is right on the heels. And he opens up the tent. What do you all think was in that tent? No, no, not the supervisor. No, no, he went to the hospital, remember? She says, "Sir, what is this over here?" "Oh, that?" "Yes, sir." "This looks like a very odd piece of attraction. Can you give its history?" Well, I really don't have any facts about that." "Yeah, but I do." "Oh, please do tell, sir." "That is the deformed fetus of the great-great-grandfather Carney that used to be," and he gave the name of the carnival and where it used to belong. "Oh, is that true?" "Yes, that's true." Uh, how would you even know that?" "Because I recognize it." "How would you recognize it?" "Because it's mine." Uh, you can't prove that." "Yes, I can." "How?" "Look at this. You see that?" "What?" "That's a little birthmark that that deformed fetus had." "What?" "Right there. See right there on its deformed little spine? A beautiful little speck. It would have had a beautiful birthmark on its back if it would have been born. You see that?" "Oh my goodness." "Mm-hmm. Detective, what are you going to do about this?" "Well, I'm going to see that he's arrested for theft." "Theft?" "Exactly. I didn't steal it." "Then who did?" "No. How did you acquire this, sir?" "Well, I'm not going to tell you." "All right, sir. Either you get nailed with theft or you tell me who got this for you, and then you'll just be in trouble for being an accomplice." I want it now. Fine. So eventually, the ex-partner spills the beans. He had this man, who originally was homeless, pretend that he was still homeless and hopefully get a job off of the ex-partner. And the plan was that he would be paying him on the side to do what he could to sabotage the carnival so that he could have at least all the attractions, and then he would feel like he had fair game. So after everything came out into the wash, he was nailed with harassment, theft, accomplice, and the effects of sabotage and everything else that could be thrown at him. The ex-employee, who was the guilty party of doing all the sabotaging, was nailed with attempted murder and with theft. As it happens, the woman who almost lost her arm, they was able to save the arm, and she has full function with it. Unfortunately, some of the nerves in her fingers are a little wrong, so she can't feel completely in the fingers, but she does have full use of her arm and her hands. And as far as it goes for anybody that ended up with the cotton candy, nobody stepped forward. So if they did end up with fiberglass for their cotton candy, no one would ever know because nobody did step forward. As far as it goes for the Ferris wheel, a wrench had been jammed so that it would permanently set it into high speed where it couldn't be shut off by the control switch. They got the animatron running right again. They made sure that it would halt up in the right position. And they definitely made sure that the axe couldn't be replaced. They never did find the axe that was the culprit of the accident, but it didn't matter because everything lined out anyway. The man who ended up with the bump on the head was one of the best attendances. Eventually, he gained full memory, remembered who he was, and was able to give a better account of what happened that particular day. And as far as it went for Nancy, well, she's sitting on her porch, enjoying her lemonade, relieved that everything panned out, all was found out, and that she doesn't have to be snooping. For the first time, she was very happy to just be a quiet little old lady on her porch enjoying her lemonade. That's it. I know this one ran a little long, but it had to get right down to the main bottom of who done it. You know, it ain't no problem for me to come up with all the women's voices, but when it comes to the men, it's so hard to get in just enough different tones in there so that you know who's who. Yeah, I noticed nobody was able to guess anything. Seriously. You didn't mind it being so long, did you? Sad thing is, nobody could stay to find out the ending. Maybe it was too long. Well, see, okay. to get down to the bottom of the fetus. Yeah, that's true. But the story of the fetus is one, I don't know if yous recall, but there really was a carney that was born with a pointed head. And I don't remember what his name was, but he was a very special carney. He was a real person. And so the fetus is fictional. Of course, I don't think he even ever had a wife and kids or anything. So the fetus is fictional. But in my story, the fetus was the great great grandchild of this particular pinhead carney. They called him a pinhead because he had the deformed head. Anyway, the one thing about this particular fetus was because it was the great great grandbaby of this famous carney, it was the biggest attraction there. It was the most special out of all the other odds and ends that was in that particular tent. This deformed fetus was the most famous. And so therefore the ex-partner knew that if he had this famous fetus, that would draw a crowd to his own beginning little amusement park that he was trying to get going on. He wanted something that would draw the traffic in. The reason why that he had it stolen out of the display jar was because the jar had on the underside property of that particular carnival. If he had the complete display jar, it would have been found out even faster that he had it stolen because it would have read the other carnival's property on it. So he had to get that fetus out of the display jar and get it into his own jar so that nobody would ever be the wiser. But he didn't realize that this fetus had a special birthmark on its spine that the owner, the original owner, knew about. If it hadn't been for that birthmark, there wouldn't have been any way of proving that the fetus had originally been his property. But because of that little birthmark on that spine, he knew it was his. Do you know anything about that pinhead carney? This was like back in the 1920s or something like that, when the carnivals was having those special people. This particular carney, he might have been named Tootsie or something like that. Let me see if I can pull him up. Settle down, Bouncy. Let's see if he'll pull it up. No. Oh my gosh. Suri,
Yes.
what was the name of that one carnival attraction that had the pinhead back in the 1920s?
Here's what I found.
I'm not sure if I want to call him a freak. Surrey,
What's up?
what was the carnival freak's name that had the pinhead?
Here's what I found.
Ah, I think they found him. I think they found him. I didn't want to call him a freak. Ah, yep. This one right here. See if you can, I can get him. I don't know if you can see that or not. About right there. Can you see that? You can kind of see that? Let me see if I can pull up a better, because there was another one that Surrey had pulled up for me. Nope, that wasn't him. It was definitely the other one. His name was Slitsy. They he was possibly born Simon Metz and was legally changed to Slitsy Surtees. He was a sideshow performer. He also had appeared in a few films, and he was in the movie Freaks. His lifelong career was in the outdoor entertainment circuit. He was a major sideshow attraction with the Barnum and Bailey. He was born in 1901 and he passed away in 1971. You really had never heard of him? Surrey,
I'm here.
pull up photos of Slitsy.
Here are some images of Slizzy I found on the web.
Shut down.
So long.
I'll go on ahead and type him out. Maybe you'd be able to recognize him a little better like this. No, wish I could get it to really show up right. There. Now do you see that? You recognize him? So anyway, that's what I based the fetus on. I don't know if he really ever had any family or not. I don't know if he had kids or whatnot. I don't know. But that's what I had based the fetus on, that was the great great grandchild of him. That's, I mean, it was fictional. Deformed great great grandchild, deformed fetus, great great grandchild of him. So it's just three of us now. I ended up losing half my audience because it went too long. But I was just, I wanted to make sure that there was a base behind every bit of the sabotage. I was going to let it be that it was just a very angry ex-employee because he was fired. But I thought, no, it would be even better if he had been paid under the table to sabotage this particular carnival, for there to be a really alternative reason. So I know usually my stories are somewhat short, at least about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So yeah, I chased everybody off. I really get deep into my stories though. My mind gets rolling, and I get deep in them. Oh, do you? Well, thanks. They'd be told even better if people wouldn't come in with little side comments that I have to read. But that's how it goes, when you run a chat. If you want to tell a story, you got to be patient about it and just pick up where you're kind of stumbled at, where you're interrupted. I have attempted writing, and I have written a few things, but it kind of starts to get a little boring to write it out. So I just rather tell it than write it. Kind of puts me in mind of the question that Dylan had asked today. Would you rather read out loud or sing out loud what you're saying? So, for me, it's similar to the writing and telling. I rather tell out loud than to write it. I do like to write, but it's so much easier if you can just outright tell it. So much easier. Besides, handwriting, that gets the fingers cramped up. I'd rather type it out if I'm going to write it. But I don't have a typewriter, so I miss the sound of the old typewriters. And I found an app that literally sounds like a real typewriter. And so I downloaded that app and I'd used it, and it made me feel so good because I'm hearing the and then and it works with the regular keyboard for like a tablet, but it sounds like a real typewriter. Oh, that is cool because I have written poems before, and when I used to get the Reader's Digest, they was running a poem contest, so I entered one, And I actually had got past the initial, and I was put into a place for the running of going further. But unfortunately, that's as far as I went with it because I guess others had written better than me. But it had actually gotten down to that point, so there was like 2 more runnings on it before it would be in the final running. And that made me feel good that it had gotten that far. That was an accomplishment. So even though I didn't get third, fourth, or anything like that, I felt good just because of how far it'd gone. Yeah. And there had to have been tons of entries, tons of them. So that was an honor that mine had gotten that far. It really was. I do too. I used to think that you had to stick basically with everything rhyming. When I found out that there was a real freedom of writing poems, it made it even better because then I could really make the poems work. It's not always easy finding a word that rhymes. I don't write poems anymore. I had started writing poems though, like when I think I might have been 12 or 11, something like that. My great grandmother had passed away, and I was thinking about her one night, and I actually wrote a poem to her. And that's when I found out that I could actually write poems. And after that, I would write them. And then it even got to a point that I enjoyed writing poems so much that I would make birthday cards and um, uh, like Christmas cards. I'd do Christmas cards and birthday cards. But eventually I ran out of things to make them. So ran out of ideas. So no, I don't write them anymore. No, I cheat. I go to the store and buy them. That's true, because that's what they are. They're emotions. I've never had a very broad spectrum of imagination. I did as a child. I mean, it was no problem for me to play with my Barbie and stuff. No problem at all. I always had some kind of a story to go by. But as an adult, I really don't have ideas anymore. I think that's the reason why I struggle with thinking of any other inspirations of paintings, because I've done so many paintings and it's like, what now? I just, I don't have ideas anymore. My imagination died when I matured. I think that's another reason why God has put all of things back into my life, especially my original creative crew, so that I can come up with more material for my videos. That's true. And I've been asking him, I've been telling him that I need something else, Lord, because like like Levi had said, he got tired of seeing every day another video on my weight loss journey with the same old thumbnail. And I had said so many times before, I know you guys are tired of seeing it, and this is all I do, and it's monotonous. So, but I've been asking the Lord to give me some more ideas on videos because I'm wanting there to be a good variety. And where I'd already explored all the parks around here, there isn't any more great walks for me to do right now. The only ones that I can do are the ones that my husband can go with me to. And because of his schedule, getting to any park now is almost impossible. So my Great Walks is on a major halt. And so basically, it's just whatever I can conjure up here at home. That's the reason why, and everybody came up with the different ideas for Big Mouth. That helped a lot, which means I'm going to have to think of another movie review for Big Mouth or something. What have you got, Miss Bouncy? You leave Raggedy Ann alone. That's not your mouse. Get off that mouse. I know, I told her. That's your mouse, I know. Yeah, Mama told her. Mama told her. Miss Catherine's mouse. She's played with it so much I call it Raggedy Ann because it is literally like a rag doll, and she won't play with any other mouse. Bouncy was back there chewing on it. She's got her own mouse that's tan, matches her. And when I told Bouncy get off of it, and Catherine meowed at Bouncy like, yeah, get off my mouse. And then she looks up at me and meows like, Mom, she was on my mouse. She can't stand it when Bouncy gets on her mouse. That's her mouse. She can't stand that. That's her Raggedy Ann. And I don't know what it is about that particular mouse, though. Bouncy goes crazy over it. I mean, all the catnip's pretty well gone out of it. It's no longer a good mouse. It's worn out. I'll show you Raggedy Ann. It's a sad sack. Sorry, excuse for a cat mouse. My goodness, Bouncy, you just about got annihilated. What's Miss Catherine want to play with? This old mouse ain't gonna be nothing. She won't be happy with any other mouse. No, you aren't getting Raggedy Ann. You're not getting Raggedy Ann. I know Bouncy's got it a mess. Here is poor Raggedy Ann. It looked better than that before Bouncy started gnawing on it tonight. The poor thing. I prefer doing them every day for one very simple reason, and that's because of accountability. By me having to literally get on the camera and say what I've done, how much I weigh, and whatnot, I'm giving myself accountability. It could be. On occasion, I actually do explain what the OMAD diet is. On occasion. But yeah, it's just for the accountability. And I tell you what, there are some days I am so ashamed to even put a video out there because I really screwed up. But by me being honest like that, it kind of keeps me in line. So I have done videos showing what I'm eating, what I've got to eat, but I kind of quit doing that. I try to mix and match things so that it's not the same thing every day. but there's only so much that you can do. And now, like for taking down Fat with C-Dub, the one who's come in a couple times, he's doing okay because he's already lost all the weight. And so now he's just giving advice and stuff. But for me, I'm still on this journey. So I can only give so much advice without it being more or less hypocritical, because I go up and then I go down and back up. So there's only so much advice that I can give, seeing that I'm not finished with my journey itself. So yeah, it does kind of look like a real animal. Looked a lot better before Bouncy got hold of it. Now it looks more like a mole. She was chewing on the nose. It looks more like a mole now. I feel so sorry for Catherine. If Bouncy manages to completely annihilate Raggedy Ann, Catherine will not have a mouse because she won't play with any other mouse. She doesn't like all the other mice, and they're the same mice. They're the same brand, have the same catnip and everything. But she won't. It has to be Raggedy Ann. I done an experiment with her one night. She had lost Raggedy Ann. Couldn't find it anywhere. I thought maybe I'd accidentally thrown it away. And so we got down another mouse for her to play with. And at first she wouldn't even play with it. And then finally she started taking up to it and was playing with it. And then she lost it. And we never could find it. So we got down a third one. Well, it was easier for her to get used to the third one. And then it came up missing. So I got looking a little closer and looked underneath the washer and dryer. I'd looked under there before and didn't see anything, but this time I took a flashlight and looked really deep under there. There was all three mice, plus a pink one that she had first started playing with before we had gotten her Raggedy Ann. So I take a coat hanger and I start dragging out all these mice. And I told her, I said, look here, I found your Raggedy Ann. And I tell you, that cat almost, the way she acted, you would have thought it was a child who had lost her favorite doll or something, and she was so tickled. So I decided to find out just which mouse she preferred, and I threw all three mice at the same time. The one she singled out was her Raggedy Ann. Among those three mice, she singled out her Raggedy Ann and brought it back to me. And I'd done the same experiment 3 times. I threw all three mice 3 times. And all 3 times she brought me back her Raggedy Ann. So that has been her mouse. And whenever she wants extra attention, and I don't even know it, next thing I know, I look down and there's that darn mouse close to my feet somewhere. They do have big personalities. And you know, you can look at a cat and kind of think like, okay, it's free-spirited. It really doesn't want nothing to do with you. It can have a hateful attitude, nothing special about a cat. But in reality, cats, they've got just as big personalities as dogs. Seriously. And just like Catherine preferring this particular mouse over all the other mice, we've got 20 mice up in the cabinet for her of the same brand. And yet it's Raggedy Ann she wants. And this is the really crazy thing. So hubby was thinking that eventually one day we'd have to throw Raggedy Ann, and he wanted to make sure that Catherine had all those mice that she could ever run. So he ordered 2 more batches of them. And they come in, and he opens every one of them up, and he puts Raggedy Ann in among the bunch. And Catherine's smelling through every one of them, and she starts to kind of root through until she could find her Raggedy Ann. Finally, she gave up on it because there was too many mice for her to dig through, and she didn't want any of them. She just wanted her Raggedy Ann. So we took up all the mice and put them up in the closet for some other day. And there they are, still up there in that closet, waiting, hoping that one day they'll be the next toy. So that's what Miss Catherine was so bothered about. She was telling on Bouncy, Mom, she's got my mouse. She's in the hall. She's looking around the door, watching the dog. If Bouncy was to get close enough, I tell you right now, she would hiss and smack. I've been having to chew her out for that, though, unfortunately. Dog can innocently just be laying there, and she'll just raise up to like lick her tail. Catherine will hiss and ouch. They do. They really do. One of my neighbors here she's got 2 dash hounds, and the male hound has got a ball that's got a blanket from it. So it's like a tennis ball that's got a blanket attached to it. And she's got her dogs going out one day, and he's carrying that, and I'm watching, and I'm getting a kick out of it. And she looked at me and she said, he carries that everywhere he goes. This is an older dog. You can tell they're kind of old. And he's carrying around that ball with the blanket on it. But it's cute as punch, you know. Animals, they're interesting. They really are. I like watching these compilations sometimes of the animals and their little quirks, especially when they show the cat compilations, because dogs, you know, they're always funny. But when you find compilations of cats being goofy, that is funny. You don't see cats being the way that you see them on those videos. It's just, wow. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine because this has actually been running for 3 hours. I just wanted to kind of have a little bit of conversation after I was done with the story since I'd ran the story so long, but I can definitely understand. I've got to take Bouncy out anyway. She's trying to be patient. But anyway, I love you too. And if you're still on here, Kentucky girl, because I don't know if you are or not, but if you're still on here, I love you too. And I appreciate you guys so much. I'll see you tomorrow night. I don't know yet what we're doing tomorrow night. I'll be thinking on it, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, I love yous. And can you believe it? No trolls. We didn't have any trolls. Yay. Anyway, I love you guys. Have a great night. Enjoy your movie.